Hello, I'm Noel Hannan, Cyber and Digital Innovation Lead at GoSecure. Welcome to our webinar, 24 Hours on a Cyber Attack. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to take you step by step through a real-life case study, a real story with real people, with some changes to names and places to protect anonymity. Before we start, I need to explain a couple of caveats. Apologies if you turned up expecting Kiefer Sutherland to be presenting, although we are the same age, he's wearing it a little better than me. Is there anyone here who's on a diet? Maybe you better leave now, all will become apparent. Anyone who's gluten intolerant, you should be okay. It all depends how interactive we get. And any vegetarians, well, you're going to love the next 15 minutes. But first, a quick introduction to me. I've been the Cyber and Digital Innovation Lead at GoSecure UK since January 2017. I've been an IT security professional since 1996, with roles in British Rail, the NHS, the Department of Health and Capita, and I've worked with BAE Systems, the Information Commission's Office, and many departments of central government. I'm a former class consultant and now a National Cybersecurity Centre certified professional, and I hold a first degree in applied computing and a master's degree in computer science. I am also an officer in the Cyber Reserve with over 30 years service and now specialise in cyber exercises. A quick word about GoSecure. We're a Canadian cybersecurity company founded in Montreal in 2002. We provide managed cybersecurity, audit and test, operational security support, design and strategy. In short, end-to-end cybersecurity. Please get in touch if we can be of assistance with any aspect of cybersecurity. Our contact information is displayed here and also available at the end of this webinar. So, allow me to introduce you to our friends at the traditional Shropshire Sausage Company. They are based in Shrewsbury in Shropshire, and as their name suggests, their core activity is making gourmet sausages, which they sell through their own stores to high-end retailers and at many food festival events around the country. They employ around 150 people, many of whom are butchers and food handlers. They are not what we may consider to be the typical target of a cyber attack. However, in June of this year, that's exactly what happened. Our friends at the traditional Shropshire Sausage Company, like many companies, had grown organically from a home kitchen-based operation to one which now had multiple sites and many employees. And like many companies, it acquired its IT infrastructure piecemeal along the way, with no dedicated IT staff, but with enough efficiency to keep the asset management, the invoicing, and the food safety requirements ticking over quite happily. Also, like many companies, its managing director was still the primary administrator of the system. So far, so good. Many micro businesses and even the largest small to medium enterprises operate this way. Most of the time, it's not a problem, and things tick along quite happily. Sausages get made, sausages get delivered, sausages get cooked and eaten, staff get paid, customers pay their bills. Why would anyone want to interfere with that? What could the traditional Shropshire Sausage Company have that would be of interest to cyber criminals? Well, two things: information and money. So let's take a closer look at the traditional Shropshire Sausage Company, and particularly their IT setup. We have already ascertained that they have nothing in the way of dedicated IT support. The managing director is an award-winning butcher, not a Microsoft certified engineer. They're running a number of small business servers with Sage accounts and Microsoft Exchange, and around 30 desktop PCs. They have remote access using terminal services, but this is not protected by a VPN or additional authentication. Occasionally, they will install some patches. With no dedicated support, they take the path of least resistance to administrate the network. Everyone is an administrator. I will repeat that slowly for effect. Everyone on this system is an administrator. Please park that thought for now. It's pretty fundamental to what happens next. So let's dive into what 24 hours of a cyber attack looks like. It's lunchtime on a Friday in June. The weather's nice in Shrewsbury. The traditional Shropshire Sausage Company does a roaring trade on days like this as people stock up for a weekend barbecue. The shop even sets up a big wok outside to sell takeaways to passing customers and tempt them in for meat. Ever been to Shrewsbury? Lovely place. England's best kept secret. Let's keep it that way. All is good in the world, and a weekend of good weather beckons. Our managing director, Alan, decides to check his email before doing a stock check in the main store. He goes to his laptop, opens it up, and sees the following screen. Oh dear, that's the last thing you want to see on a sunny Friday afternoon in Shrewsbury. As we mentioned, Alan is pretty IT savvy, completely self-taught, and he knows what he's looking at. It's a ransomware screen, and all the reboots and Control-Alt-Deletes in the world aren't going to save him now. But this is just the start. Alan goes into the small room at the back of the shop, the sort of small room where small companies store all their important stuff, a safe, company paperwork, their internet router and servers. Alan switches on the screens for his servers, and this is what he finds. Bratwurst DC01, his domain controller. Cumberland Exchange01, his exchange server. Kielbasa FP01, his file and print server. And my favourite, Chorizo Sage01, his account server. In my humble opinion, there are a few things in life which are not improved by the addition of chorizo. So, it looks like our friends at the traditional Shropshire Sausage Company have well and truly had their chips. All Alan's servers have been encrypted, and he has multiple demands for Bitcoin ransoms. Before he has a chance to think, his phone rings. It's his manager at his nearby distribution centre. There's something wrong with his computer, and he can't access his stock control and invoicing. So everything is going to grind to a halt pretty quickly. He doesn't know what orders he's supposed to be producing, where they should be sent, and has no way of checking recipes, quantities, and the status of fresh meat. Does Alan know what a Bitcoin is, and what is he going to do about it? Alan can't answer that right now. He tells his manager to complete his current work and sit tight for further instructions. So what are Alan's options now? He's heard of ransomware, and he knows that there may be no way to recover his information unless he pays the ransom. And how much is a Bitcoin anyway? Alan checks his smartphone, at least that doesn't seem to be affected, and looks up the current going rate for a Bitcoin. It's about £2,000 at the time. The ransomware is asking for 2 Bitcoins, so £4,000. How much is Alan's information worth to him? More specifically, how much is Alan's business worth to him? At this point in time, if he doesn't do something, the answer is pretty obvious. Not a sausage. Time is moving on. Alan can still sell stock in the shop, and the wok outside is doing a roaring trade. But the distribution centre and central butchery have now been shut down for the best part of the afternoon, and unless something is done within the next few hours, will remain so all weekend. Alan does a quick calculation. He knows he has orders to fulfil with at least £5,000 worth of food to make and dispatch over the weekend. If his facilities remain shut, he will lose these orders and also the trust of his customers. Instead, if he pays a ransom and the cyber criminals are good to their word, he will regain access to his information and his systems almost instantly. It will cost him, but the alternative is far worse. Alan decides to close up the shop and take a condor moment. He knows paying the ransom is the wrong thing to do. It rewards criminal behaviour, it encourages repeat activity and imitators, and there is no guarantee that he will actually get his data back. So he decides to make 2 phone calls. The first one is to a friend who runs an IT company. His friend sympathises and asks when the information was last backed up. Alan roots about in the dusty shelves where the servers are and finds some DVDs and CDs marked with dates in biro. He remembers when his friend had last told him to back up his information regularly in case the servers crashed, and he did so for a few weeks. Then it became too much effort. He looks at the latest date on one of the DVDs. It's from early December 2016, over 6 months previously. If that is all he's got, it would be almost like starting his business from scratch. The second phone call is to another friend who was a local police officer. Alan explains the situation, and the police officer advises him to telephone Action Fraud, the National Fraud and Cybercrime Reporting Centre. Alan asks how soon a police officer might come to assist him. His friend laughs and says that's not quite how it works. Maybe 24 hours if he's lucky, but he should report it all the same. We haven't seen any sausages for a while. Here's a gratuitous shot. Reluctantly, Alan closes up his shop and goes home. His plans for the weekend are in disarray. His business is effectively frozen and his options are getting fewer and fewer as time progresses. It is now 6 hours since the first indication of attack. Alan opens his laptop at home and stares forlornly at the screen. His wife comes home and they discuss what's happened. His wife is a bit more decisive than Alan, who we need to appreciate has endured 6 hours of torture. She tells him that he has to pay the ransom. What other choices does he have? He looks at the clock ticking on the ransomware screen and realises he does have some time to consider this and decides to sleep on it. Of course, Alan can't sleep. His livelihood is in jeopardy and that of his 150 staff. He tosses and turns until 05:30 when he gets up, makes a coffee and sits in front of his laptop again. He has made his decision. He's going to pay the ransom. He clicks on the link and starts to work his way through a series of instructions, but something doesn't seem to be working properly. He starts to worry that if he does something wrong, he will never get his information back, even if the cybercriminals intend for him to do so. There is a number he can ring for further assistance. He rings the number and he's immediately connected to a very well-spoken young man with an Eastern European accent who is more than happy to help. In fact, Alan, as you have contacted them so promptly, they're prepared to discount the ransom to 1 Bitcoin, so all Alan will have to pay is around £2,000. Result: The polite young man helps Alan set up a Bitcoin account, transfer the funds, and stays on the phone while Alan decrypts his own laptop and regains access, with an assurance that the same process will work on his servers. Alan comments on this procedure are a very telling indicator of the sophistication of this operation. After 30 years in the retail industry, this was by far and away the best customer service I have ever experienced. After returning to the shop, Alan decrypts his servers and regains access to all his information within minutes. By midday, exactly 24 hours after first discovering he was under attack, his food preparation and distribution are back up and running, and he fulfills all his orders for the weekend. The sun continues to shine on Shropshire, and the sausages are cooking once again. So, did Alan make the right decision? What would you do under the circumstances? Did he make the right decision not to involve law enforcement at that point in time? What was the immediate aftermath? The majority of his information was restored unaffected, but there was some minor damage to operating systems which required rebuilds. What would have prevented this incident? ISO 27001, critical security controls, or the SANS Top 20, cyber essentials, 10 steps to cybersecurity, or the Australian Defence Signals Directorate Top 4 mitigations, whitelist applications, patch operating systems, patch software, and control privileges. IT administration is a professional role, treated as such. Small organisations need professional advice and guidance. How much security is appropriate for a low-risk, low-profile organisation? Cybercriminals know the value of your data. You should too. Once again, if GoSecure can be of assistance to you in any way, please do get in touch with us. Take a look at our website or contact us on any of these email addresses. Thank you for your time today. Hope you'll participate in one of GoSecure's future webinars. Stay tuned to our weekly newsletter for updates and future events.